like Lucy, I chose my grandmothers, who influenced my life in ways that I don't think they would. I think if they could hear me now, which of course they can't, I'm 82, and they died many years ago, I think they would be overwhelmed that I remember them as well as I do. I was not raised by my grandparents, but I have memories of them from when I was old enough to talk. And chiefly, they were both significant in different ways, but I think my mother's mother was the more influential in terms of who I am. Um, Her name was Pauline, but she was always called Peppy, as she was very peppy. She was Hungarian born, came to this country at age 13, and married my grandfather early on. Her name was Peppy Reich. His name was Hyman Kornreich. And when she got married, she said all she did was add a little corn to her life. My memories of her are chiefly from when I was quite young. She and her husband were Orthodox Jews, not ultra Orthodox, but Orthodox so that they didn't do work on Saturday. She wouldn't cook on Saturday. She raised a large family. She had 8 children, one of whom died at childbirth. But the 7 who lived, my mother was the youngest. So my mother was the rebel of the family, but we'll stick with grandma. So what do I remember about her? She was a small, energetic person who I've told my grandchildren a lot about. It's very difficult to convey the kind of influence that a person has on someone else without attempting to be an influence. But I was always impressed by the way she lived. For example, she lived in a 3rd floor apartment, walk up, no elevator. And the Iceman came to the apartment. I just mentioned this to one of my grandchildren the other day, who's 13, who said, "What do you mean, Iceman? What did she?" I said, "She had an ice box, not a refrigerator." And we talked about that. I mean, what does a 13-year-old know about ice boxes? How he carried a big hunk of ice, and I can see it on a piece of burlap, and brought it up the stairs, and then he took the ice water out of the refrigerator and dumped it in the bathtub. Okay, that's not my grandma, but that's how she lived. And she cooked every day. She shopped every day. I went with her as a 3, a 4, a 5-year-old. I went shopping with her. I went to the kosher butcher with her and saw the chickens being slaughtered and cut up. And as a child, it was, you just accept these things. I didn't question it. I wasn't horrified by it. I was very affected by being in her kitchen chiefly. And so today I cook with her always some ways in the recesses of my mind. She sewed, she crocheted, she knit clothes, she sewed clothes on a pedal sewing machine. And I never heard her complain about anything. Of course, I was a child, but she died when I was 18. And it was the first death of someone close to me who significantly affected my heart in the sense of, I loved her dearly. I don't know how, in what ways I would particularly point out that she affected me, but I know that she lives within me. I think that's the important criteria in the most positive ways. She died on the subway, on the train track. She dropped after coming back from Florida. She died of a heart attack immediately at Penn Station. A good way to go quickly. She lives in me more than I can even acknowledge. Maybe it's the cooking, maybe it's the eating, maybe it was the shared meals we had together. She treated me a little bit like a princess without ever using that word. But there was a love there. I was the first grandchild who was a girl. There was an older boy, but I guess I was a featured part of her life as well. And my heart is still soft for her. So
Beautiful, Nancy. Beautiful.
That just triggered a memory of me as a little girl on my grandmother's icebox in Berkeley.
oh,
Yeah, I'd forgotten that. Thank you.
you're welcome.